Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming tonight. My name is Jody Brown, and I am the chair of the Manchester NAACP's Economic Justice Committee. Thank you for the audience who came out, and thank you to the candidates who showed up. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. We invited candidates running for state representative in districts 23, 24, 40, and 41. I personally reached out to each of those candidates through several methods to make sure that each had an opportunity to participate. It was 25 candidates in all, and I reached out to all of them. We wanted to hold this forum before the primary because the primary is your chance to have a say in who moves on to the general election. Most of the time, people kind of wait until the general election before they even start paying attention to the candidates. By then, the choices have already been made. You're there at the ballot, and you're wondering, who is this on my ballot? Because you didn't vote in the primary. You don't know what's going on. Residents were invited to submit questions for the candidates, and I received more than I could possibly ask in the 2 hours. To keep the process fair, what we'll be doing is audience members will select numbers that will correspond to the number of questions that I have. I'm not choosing the questions myself, because I already know what they are. So you guys are going to be choosing them. Our timekeeper will use a green card for your candidates. We have 2 minutes for each question, right? Yellow card for 30, and then the big red one for your time has expired. Even though I'm from a military family, 30, when your time is up, I'm still going to allow you to finish your thought, but don't make it going into another thought, so everyone is fair in the time that they have. Some questions may be difficult, and there may be disagreement, and that's okay. Tonight is an opportunity for the public to hear from you on where you stand on those particular issues. We ask everyone to be respectful of the candidates and one another. Heckling or interruptions will not be tolerated. Like I said, I'm from a military family. Let's not find out what else I know. And I have voter registration information up here as well. Last day to register is August 28th, but you can also register at the primary as well. But if you do it before August 28th, you have time if you have any mix-ups or you realize that something is expired or whatever. So before we begin, I would like each candidate to have 3 minutes to introduce themselves. And thank you all for coming. I know I threw that on you guys. I think it was in my last email though, so. But I know, but I appreciate you guys coming and for you as well. And with that, we're gonna get started.
One question. Does everyone have 3 minutes to respond, or does it?
For the introductions, yes.
And then for normal, it's 2 minutes?
Correct, yes. All right, who would like to go first, or you want me to just have you guys do one order?
Order fine.
Okay. Tom?
Use the mic.
Yes, there's one up there, yeah. There should be a on.
Hello, it works. Good evening, I'm Tom Stewart. Let's see, who am I? I'm married to Cindy Stewart. I have a blended family, 6 kids, 9 grandkids. I taught for 40 years on the other side of the state at NAACP Regional High School. I attended Plymouth State College and I graduated in 1975. Got my job at Monadnock in 1975, and I left 40 years later. I was at the same school for 40 years. I was an administrator, teacher, administrator, department chair, union rep, union president, coach, and athletic director. My wife and I moved here in 2018. I've been a resident of New Hampshire for 50 years, and we've been a resident in Manchester since 2018. Do I do my platform or just keep introducing myself personally?
You have 3 minutes to just let the people know who you are.
All right, there are a few things that I'm angry about. Number one is the Free State Project, which I feel is hampering the state's ability to fund communities and schools. Number one on the list, I guess that was number two. Number one on the list would be educational funding, how we achieve that in this state, and how the state keeps downshifting the expenses to the communities, so our property taxes continue to go up. And that's not right. Number three, I would say social justice, social programs, mental health programs are all priorities with me, and I will protect those, and I will try to increase the amount that comes down the pike from the state as opposed to what's happening there. I think that's all the time. Thank you.
Yeah, we're both talking about how do we fill up 3 minutes then, so I don't think we'll need it. But my name's Shivam Ghosh. I'm a Republican running in District 24, also called Ward 4. I lived in Manchester for 15 years with my wife. And I'm running because instead of just sitting at home and complaining about how things getting worse, I said I should get off my butt and do something about it. But I also think solving the biggest challenges we have requires thinking in a different way than we have before, maybe a little bit more compassionate than we're used to. Things I care about most are housing affordability, homelessness, see what else I had written down, wealth inequality, climate change. I'm one of the few pro-choice Republicans. I think that kind of makes me a little bit odd, but I'm really looking forward to hearing what people in the community are asking. I want to hear from you guys, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you. It's short and sweet, huh?
Yeah.
Good evening. Just reply to my 3 minutes time so that I wrote this my introduction and because I don't want to miss all this, whatever I want to do. So I just read out, this my introduction. Good evening, NAACP leaders and community advocates. It's an honor to stand before our nations that fought for justice, dignity, and equal opportunity for the generation. Your work has opened doors for the millions, including immigrants like me who came to the country believing in its promise. Because I'm totally different like this background, so I'm an immigrant from the Nepal. So that's why I have the different dream like this to pursue the America. Like everybody has a dream to come over here and fulfill out a dream. And then I want to fight and work together to build our community better. So that I'm stand for here. Actually, my reason to stand like this here is affordable and economic fairness to the community, affordable and healthcare and childcare, fully funding public schools, tax relief for working families and seniors, program that help young adults stay, work, and build their future in Manchester. Mostly, I focus on this agenda because of most of the college students who finish their college, they don't want to live over here in Manchester. So that's I want to give opportunity to buy house or the lives nearby with the family, so that the state has some kinds of program. So I'm looking if I win, I go for in that way. The NAACP has always stood for the belief that everyone deserves life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, fear discrimination, or justice. I share that belief deeply. My stories prove that when a community opens the door, people can rise. I strongly believe we people of colors are more than just a vote bank, not a vote bank. We are capable and ready to work together to build a strong community, and we can do it. I'm here today to introduce myself and to say that I want to work with you. Together we can build a stronger, fair, and a more inclusive New Hampshire. Thank you very much.
I think you three can use that microphone. There's this one here
okay.
that you guys can use, and you have to turn it on.
Hi everyone, thank you so much. I'm Representative Lily Voss. I'm an incumbent running for re-election in my second term. I represent Manchester's wards 2, 4, 5, and 7. So that's collectively Hillsborough, District 41. And my two running mates, or past co-representatives, Karen Hagner and Tim Hartnett, have chosen not to run again, so this time I am running with Tom and Vishwa. We are all running to represent 2, 4, 5, and 7. It's been the absolute privilege of my life so far to represent my home city. My family has been here for 121 years at this point. Before that, we are keenly aware that we were immigrants too, so doesn't make me any more Manchester than anybody else. It just means that chances are, if your family has been in Manchester for a long time, you probably know someone I know. So, and also just stepping into this library gave me such nostalgia. I love Manchester. I didn't always, growing up here. My mom grew up here. Her mom and her dad grew up here. His mom grew up here, came over to work in the mills, and I just got reminded by my Facebook memories how back in 2009, I was about to leave for California for college, and all my old Facebook memories were like, oh God, I'm out of here. It's a town full of losers. I'm pulling out of here to win, because I'm from a Bruce Springsteen family. And now here I live in Manchester. I love Manchester. I represent Manchester. I'm going to stay here for the rest of my life until I am over in Pine Grove Cemetery. And what I love is representing Manchester. I am a Manchester representative first, and I'm a New Hampshire representative second. Manchester is what is important to me. All my votes are with the people of Manchester and the people of my part of Manchester. We don't have the same needs as other parts, you know, the North Country. We don't have the same needs as the Seacoast. But we are a beautiful city. We are a historic city, but an exciting city, a city that is growing in such new and interesting ways with so much potential. And I just love seeing that for us. And I want to be able to nurture that in the State House. That's what's important to me. Embracing Manchester, our public schools, so important. Where I graduated from and where I used to work. So that's vitally important to me, but Manchester is always my top priority. So yeah, looking forward to talking to you folks during the program and after the program. Thanks so much.
Hello, I am Erin Kerwin. I am also an incumbent running for re-election. I am in the float district for District 40, so I cover wards 1, 3, 10, 11, and 12. Rob is a running mate in that district. Talk about myself. I was previously a social worker and a teacher. I moved here from Cleveland, Ohio, through New York City and Boston before I landed in Manchester. I love it here. I've raised 2 children here. I, like many people, was voluntold to run the first time. I was paying very close attention to Manchester politics and very close attention to what was going on nationally. I was not paying attention to what was happening at the State House. I got up to the State House and realized that was a big mistake. So I have tried really hard to make it, like, we were very much in the minority this year, so we were not very effective at stopping bad policy or passing good policy. Some good policy did get passed and some bad policy was stopped, but in general, we were in a very, very strong minority up at the State House. But I have really tried to make it my mission to get the word out about what is happening. I wish more people had known what was happening up there. I wish I had known what was happening up there. So I do have a Facebook page that when we're in session every Sunday and Monday night, I try to post all the bills that are coming up for hearing that week with things that they need. And I get information from like 603 Forward and Planned Parenthood and, you know, the NAACP, anybody who puts out information on like these bills are coming up, please write in your testimony. I try very hard to get that word out so that people know and they can write in their testimony. So that's what I've really been focusing on. I also really want to focus on Manchester is being discriminated at the state level for our education funding. And we had Manchester reps who voted for that. We are at risk of losing $10 million in our targeted aid fund, and so I am going to be putting in a bill trying to overturn the cap on targeted aid. I can explain that more to you guys when I have time. But we are the only city in the entire state that's being affected by this, and we are at risk of losing $10 million in our schools, which are already very strapped. So I really want to get back there so that we can get rid of that cap. All right.
So I'm glad that I don't have to read the speech that I wrote because I hate doing that. But so my name's Robert Jude Snipes. I'm also running in Hillsborough 40 with Aaron, Trini, and Mark Mackenzie. Why we're doing it, you know, when you look at the State House, how many people look like you navigate your life the same way, you know, are making the decisions that are going to affect you, you know, 40, 50 years down the road. So, you know, like Aaron, I was also a long adult. Also, not a native of Manchester, but my family has been in New Hampshire for 127 years or something like that, I think Bob said. So, you know, New Hampshire's always been a home for us, and I think we need better legislation, we need better policy, we need better, just like working together. I'm glad to hear my brother over here. I agree with a lot of what you were saying. Homelessness, housing, it's important. I know my rent's high. Affording anything else, especially a campaign, is a tough thing. So I really think that, you know, we need more people like the working people, not the retired. This is my little second job, like a little thing to do. So yeah, that's pretty much enough for 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you.
Also, my brother right here is also in the primary.
But he's a different district. It's a different district. All right, so we can either have you guys shout out a number between 1 and 23 for a question, or I can give you the little cup and you can pull out a number. Don't be shy.
17.
There we go. Thank you very much. Oh, nominated. Duh. Oh. Age. Hold on. Sorry. 17, right? Oh, okay. So the question is on data centers, energy, and infrastructure costs. If New Hampshire permits additional large data centers, should those companies be required to obtain renewable energy and pay for the additional energy infrastructure their facilities require, rather than passing those costs to residential ratepayers? And first person is Bishwa.
Thank you for your questions. Actually, I don't want to spend this money like this from these big companies. Like this. First, like this, we have to do from these our states, or the state have to make a plan, and then how to like this build like this. Now, like this, the billionaires have to occupy everything. So, like this, in this sustainable energy side, also if they capture and they will do from their own side, their benefits. So that's, I think, like this, we have the state, and then our people have to decide on what to do or not. Thank you.
Okay, and next is Tom.
Same question?
Same question. Do you want me to read it again?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Data centers have proven to be a huge suck on natural resources. And that's a big problem. They need a lot of, right now, they need a lot of water to cool their whatever it's inside the data center. Need a lot of electricity. They need infrastructure. They need storage. They need water pipes. All all the things that they should supply. On top of that, they drain the resources. So what they need to do, in my opinion, before we even talk about it, is that they have to use renewable energy. They have to be able to cool these things. Apparently they get very warm and very hot, and somehow they need to cool them. And right now it's been liquid. They need to figure out how to cool them without draining our natural resources. And until that time comes, I don't really want one here. Thank you.
All right, next person to answer is Rob, sorry. Do you want me to repeat the question?
No. it's
Okay.
fine. Yes, it is Robert for the time being.
Okay.
Because I think that's how it is on the ballot. But data centers, so I'm not gonna lie, I love me a little AI. I think it is very useful, but I do understand that there is, obviously the environmental impact of, these data centers and, AI as itself exists. But I don't think we need them here, obviously. I think we need to solve our own energy problem for the people first before we go to, the AI. So I obviously would be voting anything against establishing a data center unless we do, some other work. But
Okay, thank you. And our next person is Lily.
Thank you. Well, no data centers would be my preference, but I am not the Queen of New Hampshire, and I am one of 400 state reps. So while I would do my darndest to oppose any data centers, because I don't think that we need to set the world on fire just so someone's aunt can post a cartoon of Donald Trump fighting a minion or something. If we were to have data centers here, oh yes, they are paying their own way. Everything is already too expensive. Everything is about to be tariffed because most of our energy comes from Canada. So it's just going to get more expensive. It doesn't need to get more expensive because somebody decided to put in a data center. So my preference, no data centers, no AI, honestly. But if they are here, they're paying their own way. If I have to, they do.
All right, and lastly, but not least, Erin.
Thank you. So I am 50 years old, and I'm a little bit of a dinosaur with a computer, but I also recognize that data centers are probably not going away. So I think that we as a state really need to be able to put in parameters to make everything renewable. And then also you need to make sure that, including sound that's coming out from Ohio, where there are a lot of data centers and they are very loud. So not only are they draining resources, but they are also disrupting communities. So I do think that they are something that would behoove us to be prepared for and put in legislation in place to make sure that things are renewable energy. I strongly disagree that having data centers be able to set up their own power systems is a good idea. I am very concerned about that. I feel like those are going to be very polluting, and you have lost control over the environmental impact of them when you give companies permission to do that. So I think before they arrive, and they were able to stop the one down in Merrimack, or Nottingham, so I feel like before they arrive, we really, really need to get our act together. Again, I'm one of 400 people, but that is just my opinion on the data centers. Again, I'm old and don't really know how to use them, but don't know how to use AI.
That's right, you threw me off. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Siobhan,
fine.
please.
No, I think this is one of the rare questions everyone's going to agree. I completely agree with Erin. Data centers should definitely pay their own way. I think having them use renewable energy is a great mandate to have ahead of time, right? I think they're changing the status quo. They want to do something new. They need to pay for the additional burden. While I'm in general of generally loosening housing restrictions to allow more different types of housing to be built, mixed-use housing, stuff like that. A lot of the zoning laws are too tight sometimes, but with the data centers, I think we should go the opposite way. The local residents, especially with the sound, if you look at the sound on YouTube of different people living next to data centers, local residents should have a more forceful control about being able to say yes or no. So I definitely think we should put the laws in place before they start building heavily, and they should pay their own way. Renewables is a great way to go with that.
Okay, thank you all. All right, forgive me if I'm a little bit lost on my rotation. I apologize, but now we got it. All 6 have answered, correct? Okay. All right, so do we have another number, or does someone want to? 4. There we go. Thank you very much. 4, public education funding. Number 4 is public education funding. What will you do to, New Hampshire continues to face disputes over adequate education funding, unequal funding among school districts, and the property tax burden on homeowners. What would you do to address these problems? Would you support broader-based revenue proposals, such as the 3-3 tax savings plan? If not, what would you propose instead? And the first one is Tom.
Yeah, I think you're the first one each time.
Sorry,
Oh, yeah?
you threw me off when you,
So I'm gonna be the first one every time.
no, you
Michelle
won't.
was first last time.
Okay.
Well,
They should
let's,
have been
well, that's fine, I understand that, but because I had 5 situated, I already had a rotation order, so with Tom showing up, number 6, it's throwing off my rotation. So the first 2 times he is first, he will not be first again. Please go ahead and answer.
All right, what was the question?
Public education funding, do you want me to ask it again?
No, that's enough. Public education, I spent 40 years in education, and over those 40 years, I've seen buildings crumble and books get outdated and teachers get let go and programs get cut. And it's always funding. And the funding is also, it really irritates local communities because it affects your property taxes. And recently, it's affected your property taxes more than it has. Why? Because costs are going up. Education is not cheap. Anybody who thinks education is cheap is not correct. Just take, I mean, I'm not comparing it to college, but take a look at college education. It's exorbitant. All right, well, education costs money, teachers cost money, buildings cost money, and if we wanted educated population, we need public education. We need public education to be funded. We need public education to be plentiful for all students. We have a lot of costs. We have the special ed costs. We have the program costs. We have the busing costs. There are so many costs that are incorporated into education. It's not just sitting in a classroom and doing the reading, writing, and arithmetic. Whoa, that went fast. Are you sure? All right, quickly, we need to get the funds back at the state that they've done away with over this past year and previous years. Just an example of why did we get rid of the interest in dividends tax? It only affected the top 4% of the people.
Okay, we need to make sure that everyone has equal time. Was the time already up?
It was a 30-second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that was-
Okay, I thought it was expired. I'm sorry. I should have looked.
I didn't get the
Sorry.
red card.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead. All
All right, I
right, 10
forgot
more
where I
seconds.
was.
Sorry.
All right, just give me a second.
Interest
Interest
and
and
dividends
dividends, you were
tax.
saying.
Interest and dividends
Yeah, I'm
tax.
sorry.
All right, and what about the business profit tax? How about increasing some of the money we get from tourism, the roads? There's streams, revenue streams that they haven't investigated and they don't use. I'm not necessarily talking about broad-based taxes. I'm just talking about a little bit here, a little bit there. We do away with inspections. How much money did the state not get this year because nobody has to get their car inspected anymore? All these little things add up to millions and millions of dollars. And on top of that, now you have the voucher program. And the voucher program is right on the top of my list. It should be given to people that actually need the voucher in order to send their kids to school. Not frivolously given out with no income level cap on it, so anybody can get it. That was definitely more than 30 seconds. Thank you.
All right, and next we have Aaron.
Okay. Oh, education, sorry.
Do you want me to read the question
It
again?
was education funding, and
And
I think I
if
can
you,
get close.
okay.
Yeah, education funding. So, one of the things I discovered at the State House is there is a huge movement and a huge group of people who hate public education. And their goal is to get rid of public education. And whether they are expanding the education freedom accounts, which is our voucher program, which, by the way, right now, if you didn't know, if I decided to send my kids to public school or private school and took a voucher, you guys would all be helping me pay for that. So it is literally welfare for the wealthy. You are taking from the masses and you are giving to the few who are sending their kids to private school. So getting rid of the education vouchers is one thing. Reinstating the taxes for the top businesses and top percentage of people in the state is a huge thing that would bring more money in. Right now, they are looking, there is a movement in Concord to look at every angle of funding at education and try to cut it. So I think right now we need to fight back and save public education, because you do not have a community if you do not have public education. You will not have people, you would not be in a community that you would want to live in. And Manchester itself, as I mentioned earlier, is being targeted hard with that. They are trying to make an example of Manchester. We currently take the most money at the state level because we are the largest city with the largest population, and they are punishing us for that and trying to take $10 million away. So, thank you. Answer that.
And Robert.
So I am a proud public school, story, right? Maybe not New Hampshire public school, but I think we need to bolster our public schools, right? So we're talking about revenue. I think that's a big thing that our state is lacking all around. So, especially revenue for our schools. Like Aaron said, everything's trying to cut every aspect of our public school program right now. But I think one of those ways we can think about using some income, charitable gaming. I think that needs a little bit of regulation. I've just seen that like nonprofits just get money and there's no reporting. So maybe that could be a little source of some revenue for our schools. Virginia does that. So I think the 333 program. Maybe read up a little bit more on it. It's like 3% something, but these education freedom accounts, like Aaron said, it's like taking money from our public schools and putting them right into private schools. We used to hate those kids that went to like St. Mary's back home. Like, it was like, you guys have a better school? Well, we have a pool that's green, but public school money. I think, we just really need to bolster them, so.
Thank you. And next, we have Lily.
Great, thank you. Well, first, I'm very proud to say that I received the candidate recommendation from the NEA, so that's kind of indicative of how I feel about public education. It got me here, it made me who I am today. It employed me for several years, it employed my mother for several years. I worked in the special ed program at Smithers School. And I saw firsthand how public schools, but specifically special ed programs, get targeted. And that's another way that trying to eliminate public schools, which is not a secret. We had a bill that would have established a committee to study transitioning all public schools to charter schools. They want to get rid of public schools they'll tell you. John Morton, who is no longer a state rep, said it at a Ward 7 listening session. Not a bug, a feature. And we note that charter schools don't have to take special education students. They don't have to, take students with IEPs in general. They don't have to provide English language programs for kids who are learning the English language. So what they want is to separate everyone else. Those kids go to public schools that they want to get no money at all. I pay for so much stuff out of my own pocket. I know every other public school employee does too. And they want segregation, essentially. We know that targeting Manchester is just a classist, xenophobic, racist dog whistle. Like, we know that that's why they target Manchester and Manchester's public education. So I always stand up for public education. For property taxes, how about we build some more housing and we share the property tax burden among more people? We all know we need more housing.
Amen.
Let's try that.
Thank you. And then Siobhan?
Yeah, could you read the question again?
Sure.
It's been a while. We'll make sure
No,
we hit the
no,
target.
That's fine. These are questions that came in from the public, so New Hampshire continues to face disputes over adequate education funding, unequal funding among school districts, and the property tax burden on homeowners. What would you do to address these problems? Would you support broader-based revenue proposals, such as the 3-3 tax savings plan? And if not, what would you propose instead?
All right, yeah, I think the fundamental debate here is between does everyone across the state help each other out, or do the rich districts, get richer and leave the poorer ones behind? And I think probably my personal opinion is to lean toward everyone helping each other out, right? It doesn't benefit us to have a very poor district in the north that can't afford things while other districts get more. So in general, I haven't read up on the proposals they're talking about, but in general, we have to think of New Hampshire as a whole. Everyone has to help each other out. We all benefit when the whole state learns. So that's my coming down on one side of the issue, but I haven't read the 333 he's talking about.
Thank you. And then Bishwa?
Thank you. One of this my commitment to work in this education field this when I was elected. So education is more important. Fundamental rights of the child when they're in the birth, they have to be allowed to go to very good school and good quality of education. They have to get it from all these schools. So that's my concern is that all these public schools have to be this funded equally, and then the what's it called? That's the syllabus of this school system also have to need to be changed, because there's now you are talking with all people of the world 50+, but now it's a AI generation by the code. So that's the kids have to get those kinds of education, and the syllabus have to change. And the people who are the rich, wealthy, they can allow to go to the private schools, but the government doesn't have to give a voucher and to make these private schools more stronger. But they have the public school is stronger, but private school is stronger. We need to be a public school more stronger and more qualified, and we have to give a training to the teacher and whatever the taxes. Yes, we have to share all these we have the New Hampshire. We have to bear the family, New Hampshire family. So that's giving the tax to our family, our kids. It doesn't I don't think that is a wrong idea, but the people's tax doesn't go to the private schools. The public schools have to be more funded. Thank you.
Thank you. Another number? 13. 13? Thank you. Oh, y'all are fighting over shouting out the numbers now? That's good. That means you're involved. Hold on one second. Hold on. Why do I have? It's a duplicate. Okay, give me another number.
You don't have 13?
I'm sorry? Yeah, 13 it was a duplicate. I was trying to make sure I don't have any duplicates, and I did. I'm sorry.
About one.
One? Okay. 1, housing, rent increases and rent caps. Would you support legislation limiting how much a landlord can increase an existing tenant's rent in a given year? How does that differ in your view from establishing a maximum rent a landlord may charge? All right, and then the first person is Robert.
So yes, I currently am a renter. I rent.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
There we go. So I am currently a renter. I foresee myself always being a renter, the way this housing market is going. Kind of missed out on that in '94 when I was sucking my thumb and, pooping in my diaper. But I really think we do need to maybe not have a rent cap or, all that. I'm all for the free market, landlords can charge what they want. If they have, adequate space, you got a nice place, cool, charge what you want. But I do think we need some tenant protections when it comes to some of these, multiple year leases. Like you said, rent changes over 1 year need to be reasonable. I just moved from a place and it jumped $800. That's a lot. So from 42% of my take-home pay, now I'm paying like 62% of that. So where's the money to save for a house or some of these other things? Kind of something I thought about when my friend down here was introducing himself. He said, he stayed at the company for 40 years, right? I don't think that's, I love that story, and I was preached that my whole upbringing, go to school, go to this, go get the job, get the house. I think we're slowly not seeing that anymore. And it's hard out there for us renters, so we need to look to protect those. But if you're landlord, cool too, maybe my all got it back.
And then Aaron.
So I actually sat on the housing committee this past session. And a lot of bad policy was passed that really weakened tenant rights. And I think we need some of that back. First of all, there is HB 60. It doesn't matter the bill numbers, but there were some really, there was an effort to give landlords a lot more power in the state and really take away any rights from tenants. So I think that first and foremost needs to be addressed this year. And you said something about the caps on rent. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember the full question, but
do you want me to ask it again?
I think I got it. If I missed it, I'm sorry. But caps on rent. It's interesting on this. I have a daughter who's renting an apartment in Montreal. She's going to school there, and they do have a cap on the percentage that the landlord is allowed to raise the rent in the city. But what they have found across the city is that every year, every landlord raises the rent the amount that they are allowed to raise it. So I do think that while that sounds good, there can be dangers in that. Her rent goes up the maximum amount every year, and actually so do all of her friends. So I don't have a full city. I haven't investigated that much, but I have found that. So, and having lived in New York City with rent control, there are wonderful things, but there are also something can sound great on paper, and there can be a backlash. So I would definitely need to study that more to really. Off the top of my head, I cannot answer that. But I do know that the tenant rights, I'm very passionate about what has happened in the legislative branch last session, and I really think we do need to correct that.
And then yes, Lily.
Oh, convenient. I, until really recently, was also a renter. the only way I can afford to live anywhere is because I live in a dual income household now. And I was really proud that I got a bill signed by the governor that is beneficial to renters and comes from my perspective as a renter. And that perspective is one of the great parts about, like, a lot of times the citizen legislator thing is really hard. It's really hard to do this and work full time. I work in a dog kennel and daycare, and it's really strenuous, and then I have to go up to Concord and deal with people much less fun than dogs. But that perspective, like, were you talking about the good cause eviction law?
Yes.
New Hampshire is one of the only states in the country that your landlord can't just be like, okay, I want to evict you for no reason at the end of your lease. And when people were fighting to get rid of that, like the visceral dread that I felt like, oh my God, if this passes, can my landlord just decide to kick me out? I can't find anything else at this rate. I'm already paying way more than anywhere else I'd be able to find. So I know that fear. I had an idea last legislative session about making it so that a landlord could only increase the amount of rent per year corresponding to what their property taxes actually were, or like any increase in that, or what work they actually did into the property to increase the value. I ended up focusing, just because I do work full time and I can't be in Concord like to testify on as many bills that I would like. I ended up focusing on a bill for disability, specifically autism privacy protections. But it is something that I would be interested in bringing back this legislative session. Rent caps, I would love, if I was Queen of New Hampshire, it would be really, really, really difficult to pass. So I would prefer to focus my time on this idea of a percentage that I think is easier to justify. Yes, I'm sorry, Randall.
Thank you. And Bishwa.
Yeah, that's also the one of this commitment like this when I was elected. That's also the one of the affordable housing. And the state have to be controlled. State have to be to build these there is lots of industries of abandoned industry this building over here in Manchester. So that the state have to build that mills as apartments building. So that's people rent they get the cheaper price, and then they got affordable that rent. The college finished students, so when they want to stay and looking for the apartment, then this building owner, they're asking for the $100,000 the income. So how to show that the income, and they will not get these nice apartments. So like this, I was 6 years back. I was in West Manchester. There's a Manchester apartment, 2-bedroom apartments are more than $3,000. So I have income only the 50,000. I'm not eligible to get that apartment. So that's the state have to open the zones and give some kinds of incentives to the builders and make more buildings, and those abandoned industries buildings have to be built as a residential. So that's a lot of people who are looking for the apartments, they will get in cheaper and affordable price. So that's right we have to do. Thank you.
And Shubham.
Sure. Yeah, I think on the question, I'd support a percent cap. That lets tenants plan what their rent might be next year. So I'd support a cap on percentages. A total cap might be very hard to legislate. I don't know how Concord would know what the right rent for every place would be in the city. So a percentage increase, I'd support. A total cap, I'd oppose. But I think both those are attacking the wrong end, right? We build more housing and the pricing will go down. And it'll take some hard decisions because all the homeowners will have to see, maybe the housing, their property values decrease, right? If you build, if you double the housing supply, more people can live here, the state gets stronger, but, homeowners might see their housing value decrease. But that's a decision we have to make. We have to, for the state to grow, young people need to be able to live here and afford to live here and be able to do, jobs. So I think on the side of which one I support, we'd have to probably bring property prices down by building more houses, and then the percentage increases stuff solves themselves.
Lastly, Tom.
First to last. I agree with everything that was said. I think there needs to be a formula for landlords. And I don't know what that formula would be, but it really gripes me when your, property taxes go up 1 or 2%, and then, let's say you have 10 tenants, and all of a sudden, everybody's rent goes up a certain amount, which is not proportionate to what the owner of the building wound up increasing. So there's got to be some kind of a formula that goes along with cost of living, maybe average annual salary in the city you live in or the town you live in, Manchester. There's got to be something tangible that can show me that just because the taxes went up 1%, you raised everybody's rate 10%. And that's what happens. I think rent control is a harsh word, I think, because you're telling someone who actually owns a building that tell them what to do with their investment. I can't agree 100% with that, but there has to be some guidelines, and I agree that we need to build more houses. I agree that the state has to cut out the red tape. I agree that zonings need to be changed to be more friendly to builders. 30 seconds. And all that stuff is true and correct. If we build more places that people can afford, then the landlords will not have such a heavy hand in what they control as far as the rent goes. But I think there has to be something looked into to give even landlords, I mean, I'm not calling them villains, but some kind of a guide so that they can't jack the rate up more than it should. Thank you.
Thank you. Randall, do we have time for another round or?
Yeah, 6:23.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay,
On the dot.
all right.
You'll probably be first again, so.
No.
It's 6:23. I wanted to give everyone a chance to stand and for me a chance to sit because my leg is like really bothering me up here. And for everyone else here to just take a stretch really fast. So we will be back here at 6:30. And you know I am about time. Thank you. You guys, at 6:30, we are getting back to our community discussion with our candidates for our districts 23, 24, 40, and 41. Thank you. 40 and 41. Thank you, everyone got a stretch or a sit down. All right. I hope you guys are finding the answers very informative for you to know who to send on to the general election for your ward and district. Somebody want to throw out a number, or do you want to pick a number out of the cup?
7.
We don't count.
Yeah.
She gave me a number.
9. Okay, we'll do 9. No, we're going to do numbers from the audience. Thank you,
The
though.
people count.
Yes. All right, number 9. My glasses are off. All right.
I mean, you might also, if you can give a list of questions to the people in the audience and they can pick what might interest them the most. I mean, also, instead of the random numbers too.
Well, I want to keep it random because we have so many
Okay.
that it's better to just keep it this way. That way I'm trying to keep it completely non-biased and everything else, and that's going to come across with this next question with number 9. AIPAC, pro-Israel political organizations and U.S. funding for Israel. What is your position on continued U.S. military assistance to Israel? And have you received or would you accept campaign contributions, endorsements, or other political support from AIPAC or other organizations that advocate for U.S. support of Israel? And our first one is Lily.
Somehow I knew it was going to be me first. I do not support continued U.S. aid being sent to Israel, but I think there also might be a misconception. AIPAC doesn't usually get involved in state level races. Like, we don't have anything to do with U.S. funding to Israel, unless, you know, New Hampshire was to specifically start doing vouchers for Israel as well as for rich kids. But so AIPAC wouldn't endorse any of us or fund any of us. But if they were to send me a check, it would, I'm sure, be erroneously. People do accidentally tag me on social media, meaning to tag Lily Tang Williams. So there is no way that AIPAC would be sending me any money, even aside from my political leanings.
All right, and then next is Siobhan.
Who had the, where'd it go?
Oh,
Sorry. There we go.
Yeah, I think just like Lily's saying, it's not going to come up in a local election. There's not going to be foreign funding. In general, foreign money shouldn't be involved in U.S. elections. I'm totally fine with cutting out foreign money. Continued U.S. aid in Israel, yeah, we're not going to vote on it in the State House, but in general, I'm against it. You know, they've done enough. We need to kind of pull back from what they're doing in Israel and kind of treat the region as a whole. It can't be, again, one versus everyone. We have to deal with everyone in the region. But yeah, I don't think it's going to come up very much in the State House.
okay, thank you. And Bishwa?
Thank you for questions. Actually, we are only that level to, like they talked about the financial support aid, because the idea is a local level, is in state level, so that's what we're most talking about is our people, New Hampshire people. So, but I'm totally like this. I'm used to giving the donation to the Israel to fight this, like this. I don't know what's the name of that. But like, it's America always first. It doesn't mean like like to make a one puppet country and then like this, showing this our power to dominate the other states. It doesn't sounds good for me. But then donation wise, if I like this. Actually, I'm not like getting any support from those kinds of organizations, but like these are, and I'm totally like this. Want to America first. America want like the world leaders, but it doesn't mean to like make a puppet and then donating to some kinds of country. Thank you.
And Robert?
Thank you. Got my pencil now, I can think. So AIPAC money, yeah, like we said, not really too much going to be a problem for us, but how big is the check? My first question. We'll call it reparations maybe, like I don't know. But no, I don't think we'll be taking any AIPAC money. As for like funding Israel, I think we need to focus more on like, go back to that more globalistic kind of viewpoint. Like we can't be so isolationist, like that's not how the world works. Everything's too interdependent on each other. So we need to focus more on like world stability. My mom's a combat vet. She did 5 tours. She's definitely messed up from it. There's a whole generation that is messed up from a pretty senseless war. So I think we really need to start thinking more about the long-term effects of combating this. But that's a whole other topic. And then, like someone said already, foreign money needs to be out of our elections. It's just not the influence we need. I think that's all the points.
And Tom?
I'd like to see that we get PAC money in general out of elections. But it's been going on for such a long time. I don't, considering the people that are in the PACs are the people with most of the money, I don't see it happening. The AIPAC money is not going to be a factor. I would say, however, that if someone accepts money from people that give to AIPAC, it shouldn't count against them. Because if I give money to the National Rifle Association, it shouldn't be affected if I give money to someone who is anti-gun. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It's a bad argument. But I'd love to see PAC money. They tried to do this, 30 years ago, before it all got so heavy. And I don't think it can happen, but I'm totally against PAC money being in our elections. As far as the aid to Israel, I think it needs to be cut back. I think they've abused it. I think that we need to aim at more humanitarian aid as opposed to trying to win a war that's not ours. They've shown to be merciless and never ending. So I would say level up the aid to Israel, stop the armament, and move on from there with other countries. It's hard to say that in the same breath that I think we should support Ukraine more than we're doing right now, but at the same time, I wouldn't pour billions of dollars into Ukraine. It would be humanitarian aid with self-protection. Thank you.
And Aaron?
I'm going to echo what Tom said at the very end there with aid into Israel. I think it is very possible and living proof that you can love a people but disagree with the government, not just many countries across the world, that you can love the people and disagree with the government. Also, APEC money is, most of us are taking money out of our own pockets to run, so we are not a very well-funded group. We are not getting large donations from any place. I was like, I believe I spent a couple $1,000s the last time I ran, and I probably will again this time. So this is not these are not money flush elections, but I do think big money should be out of all elections. I think that's gotten us into part of the problem that we're in today. So, thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Another number?
24.
24. I don't think, we're only up to 23. 23. There we go.
21.
First legislative priority. If you could introduce or support only one major piece of legislation during your first year in office, what would it be and why? And this one, Siobhan, you are first.
Sure, yeah. I'd love to sponsor a bill called No One Sleeps Outside. Some sort of set of packages and housing aid and housing conditions that anyone who needs a bed has one. There's more empty houses than there are homeless people in New Hampshire. There's lots of things we can do, but if we set a goal of no one sleeps outside, that probably stops a lot of the misery the fastest, and then we can build from there. But that's the first thing I'd like to try and do. If I had a dream wand I could wave.
Thank you. Robert?
50 property group, I would also waive the same one. I think we tried it, housing first, so that's also something that I would target to. Maybe living pay wage, that'd be day one. No, not here. Definitely not New Hampshire. But yeah, no, I think it would have to be housing and our homeless population. We can't be the richest country in the world and people are still sleeping on the streets, right? My whole career has kind of been in that harm reduction, recovery, nonprofit, mental health space. So those are my people. And I think there's a lot of legislation, there's a lot of policy, there's a lot of politics that go along with, being unhoused and supporting that population. So I also agree on that with bipartisan legislation right there. I like it.
And Bishwa?
Yeah, really, like if I wish to, I become legislature, right, they get the chance to, then I advocate for these educations, but I believe like the education, every working families, child, is have to like prioritize to get the quality education and the child care. So that's why I will like this, right, if elected, then I will vow for child education and free of child care. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Tom?
I think I'm going to fudge on this a little bit because I'm going to include school funding and homelessness because we have a large number of kids that are homeless that are actually going to school. So the two are intertwined. But I think I'm going to, if I had to pick number one, I think it would be the school funding, which I feel would help with the other. So I think that'd be my number one choice, school funding, how it's done, and how to get it to the point where it actually is adequate and funding for schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron?
So 2 years ago, when I was running the first time, questions like this were very, very hard, and I really give all the people who are running first time and haven't been in the legislative a lot of credit getting up here and trying to answer these questions, because it's really hard to know how to answer this until you're up there and sort of see how the sausage is made. So I would pick what I am going to do, actually, if I get reelected, is a very small bill, but it will make a big difference to Manchester, and that is to repeal the targeted aid, which I've been talking about that. Targeted aid is amount of money that city gets per child that's on free and reduced lunch, and they limited that to 5,000 students. So any city that has more than 5,000 students over that cap will not get their money, and there's only one city in the entire state that has over 5,000 students that are on free and reduced lunch, and that is us. And so that's a $10 million cut to our education pot. So that is the first thing I'm doing. I'm actually getting ready for the September deadline to file that, the filing deadline to file that. I'm also trying to get as many Manchester representatives, senators, and state reps to sign on to that. And I will tell you, if you go and look, there are Manchester senators and state reps who voted against that. They voted to increase our tax burden by $10 million. So please pay attention to local politics. It matters. Thank you.
Thank you. And Lily?
Well, even before you said that, I was already going to ask you if I can co-sponsor on that.
Oh,
with
yes,
Aaron.
you can.
So what's fun about being an incumbent, I mean, there's lots of interesting things I got to spend the past 2 years making change and stuff. But the way I approach this question is just, I've been a state rep for 2 years. People have come up to me and said, hey, this is what I want you to work on. These are my needs. This is what, and I've had the benefit of already seeing things in Concord. So the way I approach this question is probably different than I would have if it was my first year instead of, I'm running for my third year. But my piece of legislation that's going to be the first one that I file, incumbents running for re-election, our filing period starts September 1st, is based on constituent conversation and what I've seen for retirement benefits for state employees just get slashed and slashed and slashed as part of the budget. And people who are retired state employees, they're not living on a ton to begin with. It's not a particularly lucrative, none of them particularly lucrative fields. So I've been working with the SEIU to talk about how we can potentially get an annual cost of living increase for retired state employees who are on their pension. Labor was already important to me, just, I'm a working person myself, but it's become even more important to me And I'm really proud to be able to work with the SEIU and to work with a lot of unions on this legislation to strengthen labor here and the purchasing power that ultimately raises all boats in the state.
Thank you. And I'm gonna get the stool. Can somebody wants to throw out a number? 19. Can we do 19? Oh, thank you, Jesus. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, 19. Oh, now I can, oh, yeah.
Now we're set.
She's like, now.
Now we're in.
All right, 19, property taxes. Property taxes are a significant expense for New Hampshire homeowners and can be particularly difficult for seniors and residents on fixed incomes. What changes would you support to reduce the property tax burden without reducing essential local services? And our first one is, oh, I did that wrong. Okay, Bishwa.
Yeah, that is also the one of the, thank you for the question, burden for our senior citizens, whatever they are receiving, that is not enough to pay their mortgage or their taxes. So we have to think about those senior citizens. So my concern how to we give some kinds of support mostly the senior citizens who are living alone, and then that's those how much they are earning, that is not enough. So it's these senior citizen state have to be determined how to we have to support them. So maybe state have establish some legislation, or we have to talk with these other members and then do better for these those senior citizens, and then tax they depend upon these local governments have to decide how much we have to raise the taxes and all the things, but we have to care about these senior citizens, and the state have to look for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
I think anything we do, I mean, I haven't really thought about this question. There are things, and I don't know what they are, but there are things that elderly can apply for in the city for property taxes. I'm not quite sure what the percentage is or what kind of a benefit it is. Maybe the benefit's not large enough. But I think you go back to building more houses, getting the prices down, getting more tax dollars in the till because we have more houses. It all works together. All these questions are all intertwined in one way or another. But there are some things that elderly people can file for. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of a tax rebate, but it probably at this point, since we don't have the extra housing, it probably should be more to give people a larger break. Thank you.
Aaron.
So this is one of those questions that I feel like I can answer more now that I've been in the legislative body. I think this would have been really hard for me to answer before I got up there. I think my only relationship to property taxes before was paying them and not really understanding why they were going up. But there's an organization called the New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute, which does an amazing job at looking at money that's coming into the state and where it's going. And they have a conference, I think it's December 2nd. It's very early in December. I recommend going if you are interested in this question. You will learn a lot of where our money is coming in from and where it is going. And I was shocked the first time I went up there and saw the state tax cuts that have happened, where you had the interest and dividends, the property or the business taxes being decreased. There has been little nuggets of tax cuts all through, and did not actually really boil down because we had stimulus money coming in, especially from COVID. So people weren't realizing that the state was losing all of this money. And now the chickens come home to roost, if that's the right phrase, I don't know. Now we are starting to see the effects. And all of that, those cuts at the state level are being downshifted to the towns and the cities. And that cost does not go away, we just get to pay it. So I think we need to correct the funding level at the state where it's much more progressive. Right now we are, property taxes alone are very regressive. So I think we should be going back to looking at progressive taxes at the state level.
Thank you. Lily.
Thanks. I love housing questions because before I worked with dogs, I worked in housing advocacy and specifically in housing advocacy for seniors. So I'm a huge nerd about this. More housing and more housing of different sizes at different income levels. You know, we can build all this housing, but it doesn't really help anyone if a 1-bedroom apartment is $2,000. You know, we see something like that building that they put in outside, across the street from Market Basket, and it's like, oh, a studio apartment's like $1,200, and you live on Elm Street right across from Market Basket? That noise must be awful. Why are you paying that much money for that? A lot of seniors, my grandparents, they've lived in the same house since the 1970s. They know that they don't need to live in a 3-bedroom house anymore. It's just the two of them. But they can't move out of it because there's nowhere else for them to move into. My parents aren't seniors yet, but it's just the two of them. They don't need to live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. They would love to move somewhere else. Oh, a house that they got for $102,000 in 1997, by the way. But they don't need to live there, but there's nowhere else for them to move into. So if we had more housing at different price points, seniors could downsize. You don't need to be paying all the property taxes on property that you don't need to have. So people should have actual options, and we should have policy at both the state and the local level that enables us to actually build that housing at all kinds of levels. It shouldn't be just you only get a permit if you're building these $2,000 Elm Street 1-bedrooms with a weird Murphy bed that comes down from the ceiling. That's a real thing. People should have options. We should have, it's called gentle density if you're a nerd like this. But we should have ways to increase our housing options for everyone, and that will lower property taxes for everyone.
Thank you. Siobhan?
Just like Erin was saying, I will give another shout out to the New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute. If you go Google them right now, you'll get an excellent breakdown of where our budget's coming from. And so I was looking at it last night. Property taxes are higher in New Hampshire than other states, but as an overall burden, we're 32nd out of 50 in terms of states. We're right in the middle of what is a tax burden for a person living in that state, so that's probably a good place to be. But specifically to the question, the largest tax revenue sources in New Hampshire, the biggest one is business profits, right? We can definitely increase that more. Then it's meals and rentals, you know, again, people out of state, tourism, but also a little bit of locals, but then property tax comes in. Property tax is a third, and it's half the size of the business profits tax. So there's definitely things we can do to increase the revenue coming into the state, tax businesses more, but property taxes, you know, as a percentage of total tax burden, New Hampshire's right in the middle of the country. So that's probably okay to leave it there. And then, just like the other folks are saying, other options for seniors to live, housing assistance, things like that. But there's a lot of taxes we can do for businesses and meals and rentals, stuff like that.
Thank you. And Robert?
I love when everybody goes first, short and sweet, because everybody's already said it. But yeah, this is the stuff that I love to do. You know, we have a problem. How do we make an actual solution that works, right? So I think a lot of people have already said a lot of good stuff. One I think we missed is ask the feds. They got money, especially around rural health. housing is a health issue. You know, I think there's strategic ways we can call it, I guess, of finding other monies. But we do need to really think about how much revenue is coming into our state, because we got a lot of problems that we want to complain about. We don't have a whole lot of money to deal with them. And if we're just relying on property taxes, that's not gonna get us where we need. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Diversify the housing supply. My grandmother, my best friend, had to sell the house because she couldn't afford the property tax. Lives with my uncle down on Hughes Road. He can't now, but when he first bought the house, he couldn't put an ADU on it for her to live in. So now that, you know, we've rezoned, we've thought about it as a city, I think, you know, it's what we need to do for our seniors.
Thank you. Okay, another number? Or we can pick one out of the pack? Oh, okay, thank you. 11. Okay. Let me do this. Nationwide abortion legislation. Would you support a nationwide abortion ban, federal protection of abortion access, or leaving abortion laws to individual states, and why? And the first one is Tom. Ooh.
Abortion ban, no. By the states, I think there has to be some guidelines at the federal government. But I think the responsibility should be with the states. We have 50 states. Everybody has different ideas on this. I think that the federal government needs to make parameters, guidelines, but I am pro-choice and I am anti-abortion, and I think that the states need guidelines, but the state needs to make the decision.
Thank you. And Aaron.
Sorry. I do not believe in banning abortion. I am pro-choice. I also just think that government should be getting out of conversations that I have with the doctor in general, whether that is transgender care, whether that's care for my children, whether that's, you know, I think abortion is part of healthcare. So I had not actually thought about a federal versus state before. I think it would be easier if there was definitely like a floor set by the federal level at least, so that there are some protections that have to be in every state, and maybe have states vary where they go about that. But I definitely believe that abortion is healthcare, and the government should not be involved with my discussions with my doctor.
Thank you. Robert?
So I should be very pro-life because I was almost an abortion baby. Planned Parenthood was just closed that day. My dad was like, "It's a sign. You need to have the baby now." But no, I don't have a vagina. I also don't engage in baby making activities. So you know, I don't think that's my choice to really dictate. I think, like Aaron said, we need to move government out of conversations that are held with our, you know, doctors, our clergy, our, you know, all of our type of support systems. So, yeah, not something to legislate.
Thank you. Lily?
All right, I'm gonna be my mother's daughter for a second. Abortion on demand without apology. I will not countenance any restrictions, any intervention on a person's right to their own health care. That is one of the first values that my mother instilled in me, in addition to say please and thank you. My mom's very politically engaged, so there's no room for the debate on this. And I'm not running for office at a federal level, but and I don't see that happening because I cannot deal with DC humidity. But I would support a constitutional right, affirmative right to abortion. I would support that in New Hampshire. I would support a state law guaranteeing the right to an abortion free from government intervention, anyone else's intervention, because these are absolutely nobody's business. And when abortion is restricted or when abortion is illegal, people die. That is just a fact. The data shows that, history shows that. There are pictures that show that. The real pro-life position is to allow people to make their own decisions, to live their own lives. So absolutely pro-choice all the way.
Thank you. And Siobhan?
Yeah, no, I agree with Lily. Abortion rights are medical rights. I'm pro-choice, and I do support something just like at the federal level, just like gay marriage, just like civil rights. We need to have a rule for everyone that says, look, humans are humans. You're allowed to make decisions about your body. So exactly what everyone else is saying. At the state level in New Hampshire, if anything happens on a abortion, kind of a law or proposal, you all in the audience, you guys need to raise hell. I mean, these are one of the things we need to fight for. It's one of those laws that's going to get passed quietly and restrict rights. So, I applaud Erin for putting things on her Facebook and letting people know we need more channels like that, because abortion rights are going to be one of those things they're going to try and curtail secretly. So that's one of the things. If there's any kind of proposal on that, we need a lot of support from people in Concord, coming, raising hell, yelling at their representatives to keep these type of rights.
Thank you. And Bishwa?
Thank you. I don't have to say anything, right? This is what the Lily said. I'm totally right, 100% right. It supports her. And that was only because sorry for that. Maybe I talk very fast, so it's difficult to understand. So sorry for that. So, what Lily said, I'm totally right. I agree with her. And the the federal have to be not impose everyone's personal life. So federal have to give education, like the use of these money for these educate the people. What is the reason? What is the condition that happens? So but like all the other physical doctors, like they have to decide. Personal individual have to decide, and that is my right. It's a walk. Thank you.
Thank you. Another number?
10.
Thank you. Number 10, affordable housing. What specific actions would you support to make housing more affordable for seniors, lower income residents, and working families, including those who earn too much to qualify for housing assistance but still struggle with Manchester housing costs? And Robert.
I think you just said it right there. I think we need to kind of reclassify what we're talking about when we're talking about some of these social net programs, right? I'm a person that, makes a salary, like I make money. Does it cover all the costs of living? Some months. But can we reach out for, we can go to the soup kitchen, we can go get maybe some groceries, but I think some of these other programs were left outside of, right? I think, there needs to be some type of classification. We need to kind of rethink about maybe some aims of some of these social networks, or social net programs. I think that's where the legislation happens.
Erin.
It's an interesting question being on the housing committee this past year. We did a lot of changes on zoning, so I do think that will hopefully help
alleviate that, especially with the ADUs. But what we did not do at the state level was put money into programs that we know are working. So there is a program called Housing Champions, which there's only so much that the state level can do. This is a program that the state worked with communities to figure out what communities needed to relieve the housing burden in that community. It was proven to be working, and we took away the funding for it. So I think what we really need to do is fund the programs that are working. This is not going to be an overnight solution. Hopefully we can backfill with ADUs and loosening up zoning, and there's more to be done. I would like to tax second homes, so there's a lot more things that can be done, but really I think the first thing we need to do is to fund the programs that are doing the research, working with the communities and figuring out what they need. And we did strip that funding. So we actually tried to get rid of the whole program. The program's still there, it's just got $0 in the bank.
Right. So, thank you. Lily.
Great. Yay, more housing. So I already mentioned building more housing, ADUs. I love ADUs. Mixed use housing, I know came up before. Just people tend, especially younger people, tend to love the idea of mixed use housing, build some walkable downtowns. But also these social safety net programs, they only work, I applied for Section 8 back when I lived in Philly. There was a lottery to get on the wait list. So you can make too much and still be poor. And then you can be poor and not make enough, and you're still out of luck because these programs are so underfunded and it's so hard to get on them. You can't rely on a social safety net because there's a lot of holes in it. So we need more kinds of housing. We need to get past this, not in my backyard, not in Ward 1, not in Ward 2, it'll all be in Center City. We need to acknowledge that we have a responsibility to our neighbors and that more housing and a better life for everyone benefits everybody. So that's where these zoning changes really make a difference. We need to just be friendlier to that, and that brings in younger folks that I know Bishwa has been talking about. Well, if you can't live here, then you can't come spend your money here, and you can't pay property taxes here because you can't live here. So making our communities, our zoning more friendly just benefits everyone.
Thank you. And Bishwa?
Yeah, I think like this, Manchester is oldest, industrial cities. Like, before 100 years back, lots of factories, industries, in the mills there. So that's a factory that's not used nowadays. So why not like the state have to build that in the mills, factories, as a residential building, like the more like these houses over, the rooms are available there, then it will going to be cheaper, and then it is easier to leave these all the seniors, and then also the state have to give a affordable the rent and those kinds of houses. So I think like this state have to or city have to be consider those kinds of buildings and use for the residential buildings. Thank you.
Thank you. Siobhan?
No worries. Yeah, I think this is a tough question, right? If there were easy answers, we would have already taken them. I think just like what Lily's saying with the NIMBY stuff, if you're not okay with having a homeless shelter next to your house, nothing's gonna change. So we have to, I think, first have transparency. How many beds do we need? How many people are out there? Where can they go? What are the different rents in Manchester versus Concord versus farther north, right? Probably the easiest thing to do right away is to have transparency across the state of New Hampshire to get a scope of the problem. And then we can say, okay, where are the homeless shelters? Where are the low income housing that people can go to, can easily get into? Just like Rob was saying, housing first has to be tried, right? There's a lot of good things with housing first, and making that the floor. Again, if I had a magic wand, my bill would be no one sleeps outside. We have to set a goal And then you can mobilize a lot of things to it. You can mobilize a lot of empty buildings, a lot of just spaces we don't think about. As long as we say, look, no one's going to sleep outside in 1 year. How can we make it a true safety net where people can feel safe? And even if you're making too much to afford, free housing or lower income housing, there has to be transparency, like a system. I wouldn't even know where to go if I had to today. So, and how many houses and beds do we need? I think if the people of New Hampshire see that, okay, we only need 10,000 more beds, that's achievable. Right now we're thinking, what if it's 1 million beds? But if we see the scope of the problem, I think we should be able to tackle it. So transparency would be my first thing.
Thank you. And Tom?
I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I think reduce red tape, streamline zoning ordinances, upgrade infrastructure, housing subsidies for those that need them, and fund programs that are working, and increase the funding. That's all I'm
Okay, thank you. Okay, another number?
3.
All right. Special needs transportation. What will you do to ensure children with disabilities who need specialized educational programs outside their home district so they can receive transportation required to access their education, rather than leaving parents to fight with school districts for transportation? And Lily.
I like this question. I've liked all the questions, but this is making me think about something that I hadn't thought too much about before, maybe. I was the one meeting the buses and taking kids off the buses. But what this makes me think of is when I had a listening session for Ward 7, which is one of my wards, one of my constituents was talking about, well, why do private school kids who are getting these vouchers get to use public school buses? And I think that that's an interesting idea. If kids who are going to, Trinity get to use, I live down the street from what I always think of as St. Anthony's, but I guess it's Cardinal LaCroix Academy now. But if kids going to those schools are allowed to use public buses, what we should be using that money for is kids who have special needs that aren't served by their district, that have an IEP that can't be fulfilled by that school. Perhaps because we're cutting special education funding. But that is a good use of that money. So money that is potentially going just because somebody wants to go to Founders Academy or go to Cardinal LaCroix, if you want your kid to go to a private school, and this is the point that my constituent was making, then it's your responsibility to arrange private transportation for them. So the money that we are spending to get kids who are just going to private school just because, we could use for kids who actually are going to an out-of-district school, but they're going there because they have a need, a medical educational need that can't be met at their district school.
Thank you. Shubham?
Yeah, I'll be the first to say when I don't know anything about a subject, so I'm going to defer to Lily, Aaron, Tom. They're the teachers on the panel here. I'd have to research a lot more about the subject, but I'd like to hear what the teachers say here.
Okay, thank you. And Vishwa?
The state says like this, nobody is, discriminated is their health condition. So that's it. Everyone has equal rights to live, So that's how state I'm working as a home care provider. I have some two individuals lives with me. I'll take care of them because that is state provide the money like this, to help them. So this people also they need the same kinds of rights, for the transportation or any kinds of things. The state have to really take care, and then they will get this opportunity like we are using. Thank you.
Thank you. And Robert?
Yeah, the ADA is a thing, so I just kind of would defer to that. I feel like we've already argued the fact that people with disabilities are entitled to all the same, activities and things that able-bodied people are, so I think our state has to uphold that, right? So I think we should make what we should available, should that come at the cost of taking public money out of public schools? No, but yeah, I think we need to do our part to do it right.
Okay, thank you. Tom?
Funding, and funding. The feds, when they passed the special ed law, they've never funded it anywhere near to 100%. The state jumped on board, and they've never funded their fair share of special ed costs. I mean, if you get down to the special ed costs, I've seen it happen on the other side of the state. One child moved into a district and almost bankrupt the district. And as I said before, education is expensive. Special education is very expensive. It comes to funding, and as far as the transportation issue, it kind of needs to be like a lifeboat on the Titanic. I mean, women and children went first. Special needs should go first on the buses. And as simple as that.
Erin?
This is one I don't have expertise in, although I do live next door to Julie Turner, who's a school board rep, and we've actually been talking about this. I think we have, again, we're taking all the funding out of the public schools. So when these issues come up, there is no wiggle room, and this is a big problem that I know Manchester is dealing with as well. We do send a lot of kids out of state, but I don't feel like I have the background to actually answer that question correctly, so thank you.
All right.
We're at 7:20.
Let's do one more round, and then we can let everyone have time to still talk with the community. Or do you guys want one more question, or do you want time to speak more with the public who is here? It's totally up to you.
I think we're nearing 2 hours already.
Anybody have a burning question?
Did we start at 5:30?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're nearing 2 hours, so I think
Yeah.
final comments, would be a good opportunity for final comments.
Okay.
Just got one
Well,
burning question.
like Rob saying, I'd love to hear from the people who are here, physically
Oh,
too.
do you
Yeah.
guys
I mean,
have some questions? Sorry, please. I didn't even see
sent
that.
in a question that didn't get presented.
Okay.
I would really love to hear your position, whether you're a free stater or not, and how you're addressing that. Basically, I wanted to know if you were a free stater, and what are you going to do about that as an agenda for the state?
Okay. Let's start with Shubham.
Yeah, so I am a free stater. I moved here to New Hampshire, for that project. I met my wife here. I love it here. Like any political movement, it has people on fringes, right? And sometimes there's some people on one side of the Free State Project that does things that the majority doesn't agree with. There's some people on the other side. In terms of an agenda, hopefully we're all here to respect individual rights and respect liberty, keep the government out of our business is the general goal. How people pursue that, some people have gone a wicked path and tried to gone a little crazy. Some people are going more mainstream. So hopefully, I'm one of the more mainstream ones, but yeah, I'm a free stater, but I moved here 15 years ago as part of the project because it was one of the best places in the country to live. I've lived all over. I've lived in Iowa, I've lived in North Carolina most recently before here. And the thing about North Carolina is you will never meet your state rep. You will never see them. It's, here it's one person for, I don't know, 4,000 or so. In North Carolina, it's 10 times worse. It's one person for 40,000, 80,000 people. It's a bunch of families that have taken over the state, and you'll never meet your state rep, you'll never have any voice. So that's why I moved to New Hampshire, is you can actually meet your state reps, you can see them, average people can run. That's why I came for the Free State Project, but other people have come from different things, and like any political movement, there's people you disagree with, but you have to all work together.
Thank you. Robert?
I'm not a free stater. I'm a queer black man, so pretty much that. But we are in an election, a primary with a free stater who is not here. But I don't feel he also shares any views that you do. He's a little bit more, what you said, on the fringe. But yeah, so that is in our election in Hillsborough 40, so 1, 3, 10, 11, 12. Something Holmes, I think is his name. Josh Holmes. He's part of the Free State Project, but us four and Leo, we are all registered Democrats and kind of go from there.
Bishwa?
I'm not a free stater, I'm the Democrats, candidates. We have a free stater in our district, but it's free stater doesn't mean we are not ready to work with them, so we are happy with it. We are volunteer work, and we are ready to work for the betterment for the community. So, but he said, everyone has their own opinions. But I believe in my Democrat Party, I believe in the Democrat leaders, so that's how I count as a Democrats candidates. But the free stater has a choice to, become candidates and choose their one party, like Republican, Democrats, free stater, choose any ideology. So, but we are not Republican. I'm not a Republican. I'm the 2 Democrats, and then I'm running for Democrats party. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
I'm a Democrat. Been a hardcore Democrat since W. Bush's first term. I haven't voted Republican since. As far as the free staters go, it's on my prom card. I think the ones that are in Concord right now, they must be fringes, because they are trying to defund everything. And no blame on anybody in particular, because I haven't been there. I've only read about it. But I think they are damaging the state, the ones that are there now. No offense to you.
No, I mean, yeah, I could.
And that's where I stand. Thank you.
And Aaron?
I'm a registered Democrat. I've been a Democrat for as long as I can remember. I was raised by them. As Rob was saying, we do have somebody who's running, who's primarying us, who has run as a Republican before, and is now running as a Dem against us. Being in Concord, it's been interesting to see that there is definitely a faction of people, whether they have moved in with the Free State program or if they're libertarian bent, but they're from New Hampshire. But there's definitely been sort of a taking over of the Republican Party up in Concord that people should be paying attention to, because they really are cutting funding and education. They are, at one point, they're saying individual rights, but they're also banning books and wanting to restrict abortion. So there's not a whole lot of consistency with the philosophy. It's sort of, I want my freedom, but I would like to tell you what your freedom can and cannot be. So that is something that is happening in Concord, and I wish people were paying more attention to that. So there's also
for a plug for the library, on September 2nd, there's going to be a presentation about the Free State Movement, if people want to see that. So.
Thank you. And Lily.
That's also not a Free Stater. My family came here for just the freedom, not the, I think all the mailers that they send to me, and I'm sure probably to you too, Erin, says that New Hampshire is in an abusive relationship with the rest of the country and that we should secede and become our own nation. So for my non-Free State credentials, I got to ask the head of the now former head of the Free State Project a lot of questions in my committee, and she could not answer them. I don't think that New Hampshire should be a separate state. So separate country, yeah. Separate state, good. Separate country, bad. So Bishwa and Tom and I have someone who makes it their mission to run as a Democrat every term. Before I was in the State House, they used to run every term. They don't do any canvassing. They don't do any lit. They don't try and make themselves accessible to voters. They just try and get us to spend money that we don't need to necessarily spend. This is not cheap. My first election, I was skipping meals to afford yard signs. So beware of wolves in sheep's clothing. We have information about what we really stand for, the three of us. And make sure that this is a great start, that you know and are actually talking about your candidates. I think I actually remember you. Were you at a different forum for Manchester reps listening session here at the library?
A year or so ago.
Yeah. I liked your questions then too.
Because I want to be informed.
Yes, exactly, and that's perfect.
Porcupine is cute.
It is, but I think we had just had a dog come into work who had been killed by one, so. No, not good for the state, not good for dogs. The end.
All right. What's her time?
7:29.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I only got a minute left. All right. This goes back to a comment you made, Tom. I'm very involved with elderly, and at church, I've been counseling, I've been caregivers, my mom, all my aunts and uncles and stuff. Manchester does have some good, now I'm saying, I haven't been involved with the Manchester part for 5 years, but there are programs that seniors can get rebates from the state for education. I mean, they're seniors. They haven't had kids in school in a long time. They're not gonna have them. So you can get a rebate, but you gotta put in for it. So part of your state tax, your school tax can come back. The city does have some really good rebates or discounts or whatever. It goes by your income, it goes by your age, it goes by how much your house, your assets. That all goes in effect, but it goes up as you get older and your income goes lower. So there are loads of good programs. I'm just not aware where we stand these last 5 years. I mean, Manchester might have gotten rid of some of them. The state might have gotten rid of some for the last 5 years, so.
Did you have a question with that, or were
Well,
you just
the
going to
idea
give
is-
the information?
We need to do some more information, and
Yeah.
Tom's saying he
Yep.
doesn't know what's available.
Yep.
We need to, I now am working with a senior that is struggling, and that's one of the things I'm gonna be going to City Hall and say, what do we have available at this time?
Is that on the City Hall website, that information?
No, I
As far
haven't,
as-
well, I suppose it could be there, but it's so, you know,
A lot of information.
it doesn't say how much. to
Okay.
go. Doesn't
Well,
say-
thankfully, we got it recorded, so now when this goes out there, people are gonna hear that, and they're gonna know that that is an option for them, and that we don't know exactly where they can find the information, but they can start with the City Hall website, or even go down to maybe the
Assessors.
clerk's, the assessor's office and start from there, yes. I think one more question, yes, ma'am?
Hi, my name is Kadisha Palmer. 2 questions that I sent you was asked. Housing, okay.
Hold on, I think yours were asked, you're very soft-spoken, huh?
Okay, yes. Hello, my name is Kadisha Palmer. 2 questions that I sent in was asked. One was about housing and special education. The special education question was not really answered. I am a mom to a special needs child that rely on transportation out of district to ABA program for my child. I would like people that is sitting up making decisions for Manchester residents to know what the people I need and my special needs son need. I understand that the funding for public education is cut. It's worse for special education. And I would like to ask a question. What about the families that are above income limit? There is housing, low-income housing. The city doesn't see me as a low-income person, but I utilize the food pantry. I have a strict budget that I can't go over. What about the families that are above income base for food stamps? I'm not qualified for food stamps, I'm not qualified for anything, and I'm not rich.
Those questions were asked, and I understand Kadisha's point in that I think some of you, let me read it again. Okay, let's do that one again. And then that'll be our last one. Let me find it. Because I thought it was, let's see.
Well, I'm wondering if the candidates would be comfortable responding directly to what Kadisha just shared. I feel like that might be a little bit more organic to do so.
Okay, that's fine. Then we'll just start with Tom and just go down. That's fine.
You have to repeat the question.
So what she's asking about is that there are people in Manchester,
I guess I can go.
there are people in Manchester who are not rich. We're not even middle class. We are lower middle class. You notice I said we, okay? But at the same time, we don't qualify for subsidized housing to help with that extra $750 rent that we're paying. Yeah. We don't qualify for food stamps, you know? So there's this gap in between where lower income people are able to receive assistance. And then there's obviously those who have nicer incomes where they don't need the assistance, but there's this gap in between where there's nothing. And people are working 2 and 3 jobs, and I'm trying to remain objective here. People are working 2 and 3 jobs and everything. So she's just wondering, with those in that gap, what can be done for them? Is that?
Thank you.
Okay, hon. And then we could start and just work our way down.
I'm going to be totally honest and open with you. I don't know. I haven't been to the State House. I don't know what's floating around up there and what's being cut and what's being funded. I think maybe the definition of, to start with, the definition of low income needs to be changed. I mean, I don't know when it was updated. I don't know what the limit is. But certainly if they haven't increased it for inflation over the last 5 or so years, I can't give you, I'm sorry, but I can't give you an answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough. Again, the New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute says we have kind of a regressive tax system here in New Hampshire. You know, the poor are burdened the most. So we need to flip that, make it a more progressive tax system. You know, we need to raise the income limits. You know, make it sure everyone can rise. But also we need, you know, community to help out. You know, unfortunately, if anyone's going to count on more federal funding, we're not going to get it. If anyone's going to count on more, you know, higher taxes, we're probably not going to get it just in the current political climate. So as a community, especially the people on the stage, other people in the community leaders, we need to pull together and see what we can do, because I think we have to do some of it ourselves, but you know, we'll fight for more funding for you, but you know, again, the political climate is what it is. But yeah, I don't have a good answer either.
Vishwa, thank you.
I'm working as a home care provider, so that's after the 21, state has a program, so that's the individual who cannot like this leave themselves. So those people have like some kinds of, like some program. So we people like us, like as a provider, we like take care of them, and the state gets some money, and then we do the whatever they need. Same kinds of like this you were talking about the special needs children. So that's how till to the like this, he is not going to, she's not going to school, but till time, child care have to be supported by the state, so that is my concern. Child care have to be free, that will be care. After the CEO, he is going to school there is a specialized school here, so state will take care of him, and after he is going to adults, like this, that is naturally, like the state has other than like the New Hampshire very special program, and they will take care of by the states. And then if I talk affordable like the income, those question is I'm not that much like like this aware, and then I have no idea about this or like this how to like this we take care about this. Not like income is like this not sufficient but not getting food. So how to it work in that? That maybe Rick Lily has a little idea about that one. So maybe we work on that subject. We have like town hall meeting and like you and meeting and how to it work out, and we work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Hi. Yeah, so this is a question that I also just deeply understand. I don't have a kid, but I have experienced that. Like, I wouldn't have nowhere to live if on my salary, based on the rent I was paying in my last apartment, I would be paying like 50% of my income to rent. And I also have, a car that I need to get to work. And it's just, there's nowhere to make it all add up. Right now, I can't afford my health insurance, but I make too much to qualify for Medicaid anymore. It's like at the point where I was dreading, I couldn't get more jobs because more part-time jobs wouldn't have provided me with health insurance, but I would have made too much to qualify for Medicaid. So it's a terrible rigged system. And this is one of those things that needs to be legislated at the state level, at the federal level, and at the municipal level. Because a lot of these decisions, especially with housing, happen at the municipal level. The folks that are on the zoning board, the folks that are on the board of aldermen who are getting these projects approved in the city. Something that I am really excited about is I went to Hallsville School. It got decommissioned, I cried, but it was just approved to be affordable housing, but affordable housing in a way that's not just like, here, if you make below this income, sorry, if you make, or above it, sorry, if you make it below it, then you're fine. It's tied to the median income around in the neighborhood, and it's going to have different levels of like, okay, here's a certain number of units set aside for people who make like 20% of the median income. So that's just what I've been talking about, this variety, and I've had an idea since before I got elected about how to incentivize treating other historic buildings the same way and incentivize turning them into buildings that have that varied income, so it can, that missing middle, like those of us who fall through the holes of the social safety net. So I think that is a really, really interesting perspective, but to make it something more responsive to the actual area, not just flat number.
I hear what you're saying. I have a friend who's in subsidized housing right now and had to turn down a promotion at work because she would have made too much, but she could not afford to rent and have her son stay in the same school. So she is trapped and being held down by, she's got a great apartment, but now she cannot make more money to get out of that situation. So, and she even approached and said, can I just pay more for rent? And the answer to that is no, and the problem is we have these step systems. We don't have a slope. Like, it would be great if you could start making more, you could start paying more, but still don't lose the safety net that's underneath you, whether that's childcare, rental assistance, food. Like, I know people who've had to not work full time so that they can still have childcare because they couldn't afford childcare if they worked full-time. So it is a trap that people are stuck in. I don't have an answer. I wish I did. I think that is a combination that's going to be a federal, state, city combination to address. I mean, we need a livable wage in the state. We need to, there's lots of little things. We need healthcare that's affordable for people, and we need childcare that's affordable. So there's lots of little things, but I don't have a magic wand. I wish I did.
I also don't have a plan, but I have concepts of a plan.
That'll get you elected.
Thank you. You're all psycho. But I think this is kind of like the cornerstone of kind of what I want to get out with my campaign. I have like this really corny little tagline, strong communities, secure futures, bold solutions, right? So I think we need to move back to, like my friend was saying, you know, some of these more community-based things, like, you know, organization I work for, I volunteer with, on the board of directors, we try to make sure that we, you know, meet those needs for some of our parents. You know, transportation's a big thing. It's a small state, but if you don't have transportation to get there, it's like impossible to move around, right? I think we need to have, you know, some sustainable actual programs that work and that are pulling people out of poverty. We've already said, like, some of these keep people trapped. I've seen it firsthand. Half of my family back home is on the system and plays it, and they play it well. So I think we need to make some systems that actually will take people, pull them out of poverty, make them, you know, have some really good skills and be able to be proud about their life. And then the last one, bold solutions. Some stuff might not look like it's traditionally looked like, right? It might not be, you know, you get a check every month. It might be some new thing that we come up with because we see that those needs are, you know, better and more sustainable. So I think that'll be enough.
Thank you. I was just informed that we have 10 minutes, so no more questions, I'm sorry.
I gotta go home, but you gotta
I
get
have
that.
to, right. You don't have to go home, but you have to leave here. So thank you all for coming. Thank you to our candidates. And while I'm cleaning up, if you guys want to speak with our I can never say the word constituents.
You did it.
I did it. Please do. Thank you very much.